So it is important to understand that our personality and our personality traits determine how we become as adults, what kind of interactions we have with the environment, and how it is going to impact us in our adult life. So many of the patients, clients which come to you may be having personality types which will be revealed only through case study and case history. So it is important for us to dwell into that, to interact with them, to come to know about their case studies. By interacting with them, sometimes we may need help of their parents or their families to understand how the home environment was in their growing up years, which shapes the personality of the individual. So it's important, according to Alport, that an individual's personality is influenced by our understanding of their childhood experiences, the present environment, and the interaction between these two. It is very important in understanding personality of the individual. From Alport, we move to another important psychologist called Sheldon. And this, if you have begun to read Block 2, you will see that Sheldon used his understanding of characterizing personality types into three major spaces. So, this diagram taken from Sheldon's personality types talks of three somatotypes. One is endomorph, second is mesomorph, and third is ectomorph. Can you see my screen? Everyone is able to see my screen because it will help you to concentrate. Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So, what are the characteristics of what Sheldon describes as endomorph? He says any personality type which is relaxed, sociable, interacts easily with other social beings, tolerant of other viewpoints, comfortable in his own ways of expressing, loving, peaceful, interactive. He has called them as endomorphs. And his understanding that largely, by and large, they are plump, developed, their visceral structure is developed, they are happy go lucky, they are comfortable in their own skin. And a sample picture he's given. That is Sheldon's viewpoint. Second major type he has given is mesomorph. What type of people are they? He describes them as active, assertive, they are able to assert themselves. They are vigorous, they keep themselves active, they communicate actively, and he says that they believe in fitness, so they are muscular and fit. That is his interpretation. The third he describes as ectomorph, who are quiet, fragile, lean, delicate, restrained, they don't talk much, they don't believe in interacting much, they keep their thoughts to themselves, they're not very assertive. If they have some viewpoint, they keep it to themselves, they wait for others to express their opinions first, and they are sensitive that will my point of view be accepted if I express my point of view, will it be accepted? So they wait for others to express their points of view before communicating their own point of view. This is Sheldon's definition of personality types. Why do we need to discuss all this? Because in determining our interaction with our clients, we need to understand whether Alport's theory is applicable to us, Sheldon's theory is applicable to us, or the future theories which are propagated in the social work literature is applicable to our work. So, what was Sheldon's approach to the personality types which he described? It is seen in the next slide. He says that Sheldon's life work was spent observing human bodies and their temperaments. What is temperament? Can you tell me? Temperament. What is your temperament if I ask you? What is temperament? Your mood based on observations and interviews. He interviewed hundreds of people and he proposed three body or personality types, which I have just shown you in the previous slide. He called it somatotypes. And these three somatotypes are ectomorphs, endomorphs, and mesomorphs. So some technical information is necessary for us even as social workers if we are engaging with these aspects. So somatotypes. Can you see the meaning of somatotypes? I want you to see the meaning of somatotypes. Somatotypes in psychology, as I said, remember last time also I said to you that social work has borrowed a lot from many disciplines. It has borrowed from psychology also. What is it borrowed from psychology? The word somatotype, right? I'm writing it for those who are having network issues so that at least you can read in the chat. You can communicate in the chat and we can have a dialogue when you switch on your video. So somatotype in psychology means the shape of the body, human body shape and physique. It is forming the basis, according to him, of a personality type. It is a theory proposed in the 1940s by American sociologists. So as far back as 1940s, an American sociologist, right? Are you with me? He has proposed a theory in which he says that body types determine personality types. What is the full name of Sheldon, whom I'm talking of? William Herbert Sheldon, right? He's an American sociologist. He has done studies. Generally, people would do studies and then arrive at some conclusions. So, way back in 1940s, he has done studies and arrived at the conclusion that the body type, the physique determines the personality type. Right or wrong is to be tested by future psychologists and sociologists. Currently, we are only doing the historical developments by the sociologists on the studies they have done and how they derived at personality. You and me may be having a different point of view, which we will come to subsequently. I just want you to understand the history behind it. And more details you will read when you are studying the module. After the class, you are going to read the module. But please see this slide where some amount of explanation is given that in Sheldon's system, humans were classified according to the body build, the build of the body. Three extreme body types he took: endomorphic or round fat type, mesomorphic or muscular type, and ectomorphic or slim linear type, as I showed you in the previous slide. A soma type number, it is little technical. So some technicality I will explain and some you will read on your own. A soma type number of 3 digits was determined by him for an individual, with the first digit referred to as endomorphy, as I explained. Each digit was on a scale of 1 to 7. You don't need to get into too much detail, but this much detail needs to be known that Sheldon was responsible for giving us this soma types. And the 3 classifications was given by him. One class precluded high numbers. The studies that he did, he arrived at 711, 171, and 117. The biggest number was given the highest, mesomorphic. Second number was given endomorphic. And third linear type was given ectomorphic. Although the classification by Sheldon was not absolute, which means what? That it is not full and final. We can't say that it is final, it is foolproof. It is not foolproof. Okay? So if it is not foolproof, but it needs to be known that he studied it, he attempted it. It was his contribution to the profession. Although classification by Sheldon was not absolute, he made his decision and discretion based on body build. And he said that the thinnest person with the thin face, high forehead, receding chin, narrow chest and abdomen, narrow heart, long thin legs was known as ectomorph. A big fat body muscle was known as endomorph, and the medium size was known as mesomorph. Sheldon assigned various personality traits, and he decided and deduced, come to the conclusion that, as I told you, the ectomorphs were quiet, reserved, artistic, restrained, and self conscious, not willing to express themselves very comfortably. Huh. Whose mic is making noise? You have switched it off? Right. So anybody can read about Sheldon and Alpert in the module 2 which we are discussing. That is unit 1. Unit 1 talks about Alport and Sheldon and their contribution to personality. They were the thinkers and writers and the sociologists of 1940s. Now, second aspect we are coming to is Unit 2. Unit 2 talks of the determinants of personality. What determines our personality? You can see the screen, right? Based on the screen and the points on the screen, now tell me that if you talk of your own personality, of these 4 factors, what factors do you think are the contributing factors in your personality? Are they biological factors? Are they environmental factors? Did your school and peer groups impact your personality? Or did the cultural environment in your community and society impact? That is my question to you now. Have you understood my question? 4 factors we are saying determine our personality, right? Are you with me on this? Our personality is determined by 4 factors. If you look at your own personality, or your friend's personality, or your classmate's personality, any one personality can you take and tell me that any of these 4 factors determine? Tell me your understanding. Very simple, basic question. Alport and Sheldon are history now. Now we come to current realities, your personality and my personality. How we differentiate each other's personality. According to you, what factors impact our personality is my question. Everybody is awake? Please switch on your videos so that we can interact with each other. Half an hour class is over. Now it's time to interact with each other. What factors impact or
All of them.
yes,
All of,
Anas? All. One by one, you have to tell me what factor impact my personality. Your personality. Would you like to talk of anybody? What factors impact our personality? Any factors impact our personality? You told. Remember at the beginning of the class. Now we are coming to each one's personality. All of them. Yes, but how? How?
okay.
Biological means what? Okay. We want little
Like,
explanation.
like culture. The way I speak, the way I pronounce my words is impacted by my language, which is from my culture. So
Kaja
yeah.
is who? Kaja is parents.
What?
How you speak is impacted by
Yeah.
whom you said? Impacted by?
Yes, yes, from my language, the language of my culture. So even if I speak English, it's still mix of that, my language, the way I pronounce my words.
Good. Now,
So
if you are saying school and peer group, what about your school life impacted your personality? Is the question. What in your school life, Pente? I think our background is one of the main factors which impacts our personality. Correct. So, background means what? Our parents or our siblings or our home environment. We have to discuss that now in the video by switching on the video. Then only can I move to the next slide. Because mine is interaction. You understand interaction? It is not only giving lecture. We need to see you understand what I'm saying. If you give response, I understand that you are understanding what I'm trying to say. That is my personality, right? So who else can say that I was Grecian? Would you like to contribute to this discussion, Francis? Who would like to contribute to this discussion? Biological factors means the genes, the parents. What were their genetic factors? What is the physique and health of our parents? Did it impact our physique and health? Can we think about it? If my parents were good health, does it impact my health or is it opposite?
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Hello?
Yes,
Impact. Yes, it impact.
yes. And if you are getting somebody where it is not impacted, that also you can discuss. All our brother and sister, do we have same health like our parents?
Come again, ma'am.
All all brothers and sisters, how many brothers and sisters we have? Are they having same health? Are they having same health? All our brothers
All
sisters?
brothers.
Being educated can impact your personality, definitely. Definitely.
No, not really, ma'am. Not really.
No. So that's what I want to understand. Why? What is your understand? See, you are becoming a social worker, no, each of you. So if we don't have this discussion, how will you understand if we go to the field and you are meeting some people and suppose I am your client? Yes, Muhammad, please go ahead.
Okay. Good day, ma'am. So I'm joining not long ago, but I think I can contribute to the discussion by my little understanding regarding what is happening already. So when
Definitely.
it comes to biological factors, as you made mention, it has to do with the physical appearances, the physical health, and contributions of the family. And
Yes.
then the questions you just asked, that all brothers and sisters, are they having same health? I cannot say actually, right? Because you can find out in a family where a sister might be AA in genotype and the brother might be AS in genotype, depending on how the health of the parents that match up to become the family of those people. So it actually depends on the diet the person is eating. If the person is
Correct.
eating a different kind of diet, it might differentiate his health with the other person. And
Very good.
so, if the person is kind of been traumatized or is going through some mental kind of different stages, it will completely differentiate that person with his brother or sister or whatever person within the family. And also, in the same scenario, it might be in the same page where all of them are going through um, a very happy moment. You can say they are all healthy, and then you can say they are all like enjoying themselves if they go on a holiday, on vacation, or something like that. But you cannot actually understand their inner self until it has been explained or it has been determined by the person close to them. So that's just my little understanding regarding this. Thank
Very
you.
good. Very good understanding. What is your background, if I may ask? You have explained very well. What is your background, if I may ask? You have done some work? You have work experience?
Yes, yes. For the past decade, I've been working as a social worker in practice, but without the qualification. I've been in the field, do a lot of research, coordinate some project in Nigeria and beyond Nigeria, and then do some other works with collaborative partners, and been sponsored with some international donors to go and take some classes and sessions, webinars and seminars regarding all these things. And
Very good.
I've been working as a social worker for a very long time. Thank you.
Yes, I understand that because your response was absolutely dot on. I will be happy. Last time you were not in the class, first class?
Yes, I was not feeling well. I was in the hospital. That's why.
Okay, no problem. Hope you are better now. I'm very happy. Francis has written health of parents and children differs in many ways. Children born in the last 2 decades have a declining age of menarche. compared to our parents. Nutrition and environment factors affect health pattern. Good. Annas also wanted to say something, I think, or somebody else has raised their hand. Somebody else wants to contribute. I'm very happy to hear your feedback. Anybody else wants to say something, or can I proceed? Yes. Francis.
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to contribute on the biological factors affecting or determining personality of a person.
You want to switch on your video because it's nice to see you. Davis
All
has
right.
also.
Thank you.
All
Thank you.
right. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. I was trying to contribute on the biological factors as determinants of personality.
Yes.
You see, genetics will affect parents and children in a way that children who at least have some at least 23% from the parental genetics, 23 from the mother, 23 from the father. So there will be some identification of such from parents through the genetic factor, and that we know that a child is born after a fusion of 46 chromosomes, 23 male and 23 female. So it is indeed a factor that personality or genetic patterns of a parent can affect personality of a child. And on the hormonal factors, we have seen females mood changing during their menstrual cycle.
Correct.
And as they are aging, personality also switches. They become moody, they become an intolerant to other factors. On the physique and the health, we already know that the stronger you are, it means you'll be able to handle other things, not the physical, just physical, but also the psychological part. How do you relate to injury, anger,
Yes.
and yes, so and the body chemistry. You know that those people who have low levels of estrogen, progesterone, will tend to be moody. Those people with low sugars, they will tend to display some characters too. So I wanted to contribute to that. Say biologically, these are factors that may change personality of anyone in our society.
Good. Thank you. Davis has also written, I believe the environment that surrounds us can impact our personality in a way that the treatment that one gets from the surrounding shapes the moods and behavior of a person. Children that grew up in dysfunctional families end up having a different personality compared to the latter. Correct. That is true. And I am not going just now, but subsequently, we will go into what is functional and what is dysfunctional. This is also, sometimes cause for discussion. You know what I mean? Our definition of functional and dysfunctional sometimes needs to be discussed. So we will go into that later. Oh, what happened? The presentation stopped. 1 minute. I will go back. I was trying to keep the window open, but it stopped. Right. So you can see determinants of personality. Some idea you already have. Some you will begin to read. Now I want to look at this slide called personality development. Sociologists have factored these developmental tasks, and social workers have taken this on from others. I want you to see that does this make sense to you, and do we have difference of opinion? They say infancy and early childhood is 0 to 6 years, learning to walk and talk, achieving physiological stability. Last class, we also give some hints about these stages, but didn't go into it like a diagram, like a chart, so systematically. Now I want you to look at it. Does it make sense to you? Middle childhood, 6 to 12 years, gaining wider knowledge and understanding of physical and social world. Adolescence, 12 to 18 years, developing self-confidence and a clear sense of identity. Early adulthood, 18 to 35, developing a satisfying philosophy of life. Middle age, 35 to 60 years, accepting civic and social responsibility. Later life, adjusting to decreasing physical strength, retirement, and reduced income. Some places 60 and above, and some places it is 65 and above. In your communities, we will discuss how is it. What are the common tasks? Developing and using one's physical, emotional, and social competencies, accepting oneself and developing basic self confidence, accepting reality and building values and attitudes, and building linkages with one's world. Can you tell me these last 4 points which I have just told you? Are they part of our personality type? Do they constitute personality in any way? Does this impact our personality? Can you see that slide I'm talking about?
Yes, ma'am, we can see it.
Yeah. Now, these are some very basic things. But what I'm saying for beginners, those who are doing this process of understanding human philosophy, psychology, and personality, why does our personality and these stages in our life, do you think they impact our psychology, our way of seeing the world, and our way of understanding the world as a social worker? Do in your community, is this definition of adulthood or middle age or later life correct? Or does later middle age in your community comes at which stage of life? Can you refer to this and tell me? Mohammed wants to speak.
Yes, yes, yes. This is absolutely correct because at the, as you said, at the infancy, at the early childhood stage, person might completely have no sense of understanding things the way they're supposed to, no sense of belonging, not comprehending things as they were supposed to be. At the early infancy, at the early childhood stage, person only adheres to what is called play. The
Play.
only thing the person is good at or wants to do is just to play, 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 and play. Doesn't know how to impact life or how to impact other people or to even comprehend some things. But as the times goes on, going to the middle age,
Yes.
and then at that time, the person will start understanding the level of puberty within the oneself, and then some things will begin to change, and then his level of comprehension might start to differ, to differentiate from the previous stage. And then at the adolescent or what they call teenage age, that's where a person begins to understand, to see the world, and start to accept responsibilities in one's community or thereabouts. And then at the early childhood stage, that's where a person will begin to see the world as it is, not
Right.
from the previous years. Then we begin to see the communities, what he's been taught back then is what he's trying to impact knowledge to the younger ones coming up. So at that stage, he has already comprehend or in the stage of understanding how the world is working, how the worlds work. So at that stage, person will begin to start separating the knowledge gain. And then later life and all these stages, at the stage keeps going up, the person's comprehension and understanding keeps different and keep expanding. So that's just my little understanding. Thank you.
Good, good understand. What do others think? Now, somebody like Mahmood has had experience in working in the field. He's older to you in his work experience, in his life experience. Some of you may be younger, but you may be having more experience of looking after siblings, starting to work at an early age in life. Does your profile of your world match with this? Is my question. Are you getting my question? Some of us, some of my friends started working when they were 15 years old, but some of us were still studying in school when we were 15 years old. What does this chart say we are doing in 15 years old? Developing self confidence and sense of identity in school life. So, formal school system, can you explain to me? Formal school system, how many of you completed as per this chart? Would it be necessary to look back? And yes, Ibrahim and Abdul Aziz, please.
Okay. Regarding what you just mentioned, I will take myself as a case study.
Mm.
Am I audible enough?
Yes, yes, excellent.
Okay. All right.
Carry on.
So I would like to take myself as the persona or the case study for this. I lost my parents during my infancy stage, and then I was the nature forced me to grow old before my time. So I was left with younger ones, and I have to even leave school to go and start struggling to see how I can take care of the family. So I was old enough, I was matured enough before my age. So I was let me say I was at the tax common, I was at the later life during my infancy. So I grew up before my time, and I experienced how I will be able to take responsibilities, how I will be accountable for the things I have to do in my early stage. And so when I reach this level right now, I begin to understand that all the things I've done back then was not a mistake, but rather it's just the nature that forced me to take those responsibilities, and I grabbed them. I grabbed the bull by its horn, and then it's helping me now, and I'm still growing, and I'm still expanding myself to see how I can reach my hands not only within my family but within other communities, how I can help people. So let
Correct.
me just add this to this. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you for sharing your case study. Abdul Hafiz, would you like to add something here? Contribute to our discussion? You raised your
Yes, thank you, Ma. Thank you very much. I'm really impressed with the contribution of Mahmoud, and I just want to add to what he has explained earlier. Um, I believe that the development at the age of infancy and early age is now getting more beyond walk and talk. Because when we see at this present age, we are at the age of technology age, very digital. We observe that some children of 5, 6 years old, they are doing things with technology of the age of 20, 25.
correct.
So with that, we see at this present age, by the time you are at the age of 15, 20, you're already doing things of 35 and 36. So I really see it that the media and social life and the expansion of technology has really made um, the impact on personality development very wide at this present age. So it's really impactful, and that's one of the things that really increase that changed personality, develops personality. You know, when
Yes,
a child of 3 years old have access to social media. A child of 10 years old is doing TikTok. A child of 12 years old is posting on social medias. You know, the expansion and what they are seeing will really impact in their personality development. So with
absolutely.
that, at this present age, I see that there is a vast improvement in personality development of this age. You see, sometimes at the age of 25, what you will know as an adult will be very deep and wide than a child, or than someone that is 40 years, 45 years, 50 years old. For example, myself, I'm at my early 20s, and by now I can do some things with technology that someone of 75 years can never do. So
Correct.
all these things are things that develops our personality, and we'll see that I've read something about this. I've read something about this. So all what I've read, I've added to the way I live, to the way I communicate, to the way I assimilate, to the way I learn, to my life entirely and my personality. So I just shift this in to add to what Mahmoud have said, and to portray personality development, that social media social media is really one of the key things that increase and impact and develop our personality. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm very glad that you people are participating in the discussion, because the purpose of my displaying these slides, the content of the module is getting achieved because we are opening up the discussion to what is the reality beyond what the sociologists and psychologists have given to us, a framework. And we are able to, that's why, address what I have written in the last 4 points, that what are the common tasks and how are we developing self-confidence, how are we accepting reality, whether it's technology, whether it's growing up before our times, whether it's our changing values. Even what Abdul Aziz said, that at 20s you know more definitely than those who know in the 60s and 70s, because we were not getting that kind of exposure in our 20s or 30s, in our middle age. We were only confined to civic and social responsibility, but times and technology have changed. Now AI has also come, artificial intelligence, and it is going to take over the technology. So that aspect is not covered in the module, but definitely it is our reality. So we need to factor it in our understanding when we deal with clients, client systems, the field, when we go into the job profile. We need to understand what is displayed in the next slide as the most important pathways towards maturity, some of which already our two friends have flagged in the previous conversation. So, what are those pathways? From dependence to self-direction, that walking, talking left behind by the child, technology taking over, whether the self-direction is enabling us to retain the values which our parents and families want us to retain, or it is taking us away in some other direction. That is important to understand. Whether we are moving from pleasure principle, like Mahmood was saying, just enjoy, play, that is the life of the child, or having a reality check that some children may not have pleasure, play, or may have to grow up faster than required because of their family circumstances. Whether we have been able to have that in our neighborhoods or confront it in our own lives. But when we see it in our lives of our clients, are we able to comprehend it and deal with it? That is the purpose of this slide, enabling us to understand these pathways from ignorance to knowledge. So knowledge not just through technology, but what other knowledge is required of us in understanding our clients, human behavior patterns, in terms of whether they are competent to deal with the age appropriate behavior. So from incompetence to competence, from diffuse sexuality to heterosexuality, homosexuality, the different kind of sexual orientations which are emerging in our society. Do we have the bandwidth, the comprehension, the maturity to deal with that, to accept that? Then from amoral to moral, and how do we define morality? That is the $1,000,000 question. If morality is teaching us TikTok at 20, like Abdul Hafiz told us, is it good enough? Is it good to go? Does it impact our personality and our relationships? And last but not the least, from self-centered to other-centered. Now, social work is teaching us to be other-centered. Suppose you are dealing with clients who are self-centered. How will you go about it? Do you, me, we believe in being self-centered or other-centered? That's one discussion I want to have now. Self-centered versus other-centered. We may differ in our definition of this. Is it possible or not? Can we differ in our understanding of what does it mean to be self-centered and other-centered? In European countries, in countries beyond South Asia, many times children beyond 18 years are told, go fend for yourself, live your life. It is, you are grown up. In Indian context, in Asian context, till the girl is married, we are keeping in the house. That no, you are responsibility of the parents. Yes, Abdul Aziz, what is your point of view? I'm happy to hear and share with others. I hope others are listening.
All right, Ma. Thank you. I really see that self-centered and other-centered. There are two parts of our lives that we all need to, and we are creating our personalities. There is no way we are going to have other-centered without having self-centered, because at first you'll be self-centered to learn about some attitude, some characteristics about life. You know, as a growing child, you cannot just decide on what other feels if you don't feel it. So being self-centered, I think, is the first stage before you will be other-centered. So
Okay.
for example, um, being self-centered, you will learn how to build your personal self-esteem. You will learn how being selfish will be. You will learn how to interact with others. So
Correct.
after learning all those parts, it will lead you to being other-centered when you know that selfishness is not good because of what you have experienced yourself. You will know how to interact with others and being other-centered. I have I have 5,000 naira, and I'm being self-centered on the 5,000 naira to take care of myself alone. So unfortunately, I don't have any money with me again, and I need
Mm,
support from others.
mm.
During the time I'm self-centered, I focus on myself with the 5,000 naira, and I need help. So I seek for help from others, and they couldn't help me because they said they are also self-centered with what they have. So I learned from that particular action that being self-centered will not allow you to learn to know how other feels. You understand?
Correct.
So
Yes, I understand.
after being self-centered, I now discover that that 5,000 naira that I have that I'm being self-centered about, I can also share it with others, and everybody will learn, will gain, will benefit from what I have. So I don't know if you are getting my point. So
I'm getting your
what
point,
I'm
but
saying in
I
a
will
nutshell
ask
is that
others also
you
what is
cannot
their
be
point of view.
centered.
Mm.
You can.
Without.
Hello, are you with me?
Yes, I'm with you. Yours.
So in a nutshell, I'm saying is that you cannot be other centered if you are not self centered, and
Okay.
if you are not self centered, you won't be too perfect on how to be other centered. Someone that have practiced that has practiced something practically, you've practiced an act practically. You will definitely know how it feels when you react that with others. You
Mm.
understand?
Yes.
So this is just my little point of view. Being self-centered is normal. Through being self-centered, you will be able to focus on other centered. Okay, for example, a man that is taking responsibility of the whole of the family. He
Mm.
has been alone before, and he has understand how it is to be self-centered. When I was single, I took care of myself. I bought this for myself. I did this for myself. So
Mm.
when he becomes a family man, he has responsibilities to take care of. He will understand what it feels to be other centered. You know, he
Right.
will know that at this moment my family needs to eat. My family needs to eat
Mm.
because he has been there. He will
Right.
definitely take responsibility of creating for others. He has graduated from being self-centered to other-centered. At that moment, he will not even focus on himself. He will now be focused on others because others' satisfaction will give himself satisfaction. I don't know if you are getting my point.
I'm
So
getting.
what I'm saying in summary is that before you can be other centered, you have to graduate from being self centered to other centered so that you really understand what other centered is. So, thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Yes, Francis. You want to add, contradict, or supplement what Abdul Aziz said?
No,
You can
actually,
switch on.
I was smiling
So we need your
when
video. Switch on your video because I'm also smiling. Ah,
yeah.
then I will.
Okay, I was smiling when Abdulaziz was making his contributions.
Mm.
yeah, to say you have to graduate from self-centered to other-centered. I don't know technically why they have used the same two words inside one sentence, but technically, self-centered and other-centered, it's almost one thing, because when we say self-centered, it means it has reminded me of the first semester when we are doing roles and qualities of a leader. So in social work, as a leader, you have to be agreeable to others' decisions, others' suggestions, and others' interests. So by the term self-centered, it means by this time around, you are able to relate what you believe is good and what others believe is good, and what is it that others are lacking or in need, and what are your needs also. So I was simply trying to agree with him to say when we are looking at self-centered and other-centered, it is that level of personality whereby one has matured enough to relate the needs of others, learn to agree, learn to agree to disagree, and so forth. Yeah, so I was just happy about the comment from Abdelaziz.
Okay, good. Yes, Kandiro, Chaima, you want to now contribute? It's your turn.
Yeah, I just want to uh, just
Your
a little
video?
bit
Video?
disagree.
Video, switch on your video, because 2-3 people of us, we are going to disagree now. Then we need to see the disagreement faces. Then Muhammad.
I
Yes.
hope everybody can see me.
Yes, we can see you.
Yeah, I just have only a few points on the already my fellow friends explained it on self-centered and the other-centered.
Mm,
One of our friends said that first you have to be self-centered, then you can entertain others, other-centered. For me,
mm,
I don't agree with this
mm,
because if you can talk about self-centered, it's like you are a pride, like aggressive to others. While other-centered is like humility. For example, in the Bible says that humility is a gateway to grace. For God gives grace to the humble, but he resists the proud. So if you can be proud on your own, I don't think that you can be able to behave nice to others. But the first thing, you have to forget yourself and entertain others. That's what I just want to explain a little bit on that.
good. Yes, Muhammad, what would you like to say? Mahmoud?
Okay, thank you so much. I'm trying to on my camera. I think it's having an issue here. I couldn't on it. I'm sorry for that.
Okay. Next time you switch on. That's it.
Yes. So regarding self-centered and other-centered, let me just say self-centered can simply be defined as a means of prioritizing one's own need, interest, and maybe like a concerns over those of others. It's like lack of empathy or consideration for the feelings and needs of others, while other-centered can simply be like acknowledged or understood as a means of placing strong emphasis on the needs, feelings, or well-being of other people that involves like maybe showing empathy, being considerate, and being willing to help or support. Just like what we have been taught here in the system of like being a social worker. So
Correct.
a social worker is a person that put himself in the shoes of other people, trying to help them feel their the empathy, like what they're feeling and all of that. So this is just what I just wanted to add to that. Thank you.
Right. What is Chaima? What file you have shared? Just explain. Then I will go to Francis. And then I will ask my question. Chaima has shared a jam file with the meeting means. What have you shared? You want us to see it?
No, it's okay.
Okay. Yes, Francis. What do you want to say?
Yes, ma'am. I've heard what Chima has defined self-centered. you know, technically we are discussing personality traits here.
Yes.
Now we are also looking at peer pressure as one of the influence of personality. So as in social work, I believe that what we are doing, we are trying to mold a behavior of a worker, of the community, or the people around us, so that they
Yes.
should be considerate more of the needs of others than themselves. So in this context, I was looking at self-centered to say it is that graduation from somebody who is being bullied, somebody who is being pressured to do anything that they can do. Self-centered is like a graduation to say, okay, now I cannot be pressured anymore. Now I cannot be bullied anymore. I can develop a basic self to say, okay, if I want to help, I will help without the influence of anyone. I want to help because it's a good thing to do. So I wanted us to look into self-centered and centered on others in such a context that we are graduating from those steps of childhood now to adulthood, to a place whereby we can all be concerned with the needs of others. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Okay. Now my question to all of you. Difficult question or easy question, you decide. We have all portrayed that if we are being ideal social workers, what the situation should be. Now I'm asking you, with my experience in the field, one small case, 2-line case study that we have confronted with a man, head of the household. He has been brought to the social worker in the organization because as a family man, he prioritized his needs over that of the family. He left the wife and the child to fend for themselves. You look after yourself, I will look after myself. Now the question is that that man's training didn't have training which you all have. That you should, because we are self-centered, because we learned, as Abdul Hafiz said, to look after ourselves. Now we got into family. Obviously, we will learn how to look after family members. But some clients don't obviously learn to look after family members. Have you got my question? And this man has been brought to you as a case for you as a social worker to deal with in an organization. That this man needs help, his wife or his mother or his sibling has brought him to you. Yes, Muhammad.
Okay,
Is it possible?
thank you, sir.
Is it, yeah, it's a real life situation. I'm not making it up. Yeah.
Okay, so with this, first of all, is just to make him understand that being self-centered doesn't mean not to care for others' feelings or not to be in some people, empathize with other people, and he needs to also understand that there are some responsibilities he cannot escape because he's being self-centered. So those family members are his responsibility before he reaches his level, before he reaches where he is today. He's been taken care by other people, so they have prioritized him as one of their other centered. So just because he reached some certain level doesn't mean he shouldn't look at other centered. So just first of all, just to make him understand that being self-centered doesn't mean not to extend your hands to your family, to your people, in order to help them as well. So that's the first stage. The first stage to do. Thank you.
Correct. Correct. Yes, Francis, what would you like to say?
Technically, the guy is not self-centered, he's selfish. So I would use the word selfish because it's different from self-centered. As I previously alluded to it, to say self-centered is a graduation from that time that from selfishness to be caring for others. So this guy is selfish, and we have to address the problem of selfishness because as a family man, being a family man comes with responsibility. Even if you believe in God or you don't believe in God, the Bible says that if there is a man who doesn't take care of his own, he's worse than a person who doesn't know God. So you see, it's with money comes the responsibility. So if this man is earning, he has to be responsible for others. You know, it's a thing that we are learning in Africa to say India has offered us scholarships. Our own country can't do that. You see, if you want to go to school, you have to fend for yourself. You have to pay for college. Now you see that a foreign nation is able to care for us. Our local people, our local leaders looks at it as a difficult thing to do. So we have to learn, we have to train or teach this guy to say, with the resources, you become responsible. You have to be considerate of others. The needs that you are needing or the ones that you are looking for today has to be applied the same, especially to the family. He's the one who brought these children out, and he married a wife, and he's supposed to be responsible for this one. So, as a social worker, we are looking at selfishness versus self-centeredness. This is selfishness. It's not self-centered, because self-centered, as we alluded to say, is that level that you look at yourself as, okay, I cannot be influenced by others' decision. The problems that I'm facing, others are facing the same, and I have to be in their shoes and help them where I can. So this is selfishness, and it sure in itself.
Thank you. Yes, Abdul Hafiz, your turn now.
All right, Ma. I am glad with all these inputs and contributions on the question. What I would just like to add is that as a social worker, if this kind of man or this kind of let me say this kind of man is brought into my organization and this case was revealed, we will discover firstly that the man is still at the stage of being self-centered, because selfishness and self-centered are indirectly the same meaning, indirectly, because if you are self-centered, you are selfish, you focus on yourself alone. You understand? So to my understanding, you are thinking of yourself alone. So, and that's the stage that you are supposed to have passed through when you are at adolescent age. Because at adolescent age, you will be fully self-centered, because you focus on your schools, you focus on your studies, you focus on what they are teaching you, you focus on training, building up yourself. So at the stage of being a family man, you are at the stage of other-centered. So the impact of all those you've learned at the age of adolescence, you put it into practice. So for a man to be at the stage of family man and still be self-centered, it means the man is still it means the understanding and the maturity of the man is still at the age of adolescence. So we are going to make him understand, Mr. Audu, this is what a family man is. These are the responsibilities of a man. We make him understand what selfishness is. We make him understand what self-centered is. We make him understand what he needs to do as a man. We make him understand, because we will discover that for a man, being selfish to his family is lack of proper counseling and proper bringing up.
Correct.
So if a man is well brought up, he will understand that my family is me.
Yes, my family is part of me. My life.
And no on anyone else but me. So for a man not to understand that, it means the man is still at the age of adolescence. Though he's a family man, but he's not matured enough to handle a family. So we train the man. We give him proper counseling on how, on understanding what other-centered is and what family responsibility is. So I think by that, the man will graduate from being self-centered and to other-centered. So that's my input. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we are now coming to the next part of this module, which says, in the module, when you go through, you will come through these key terms. So we are doing a revision somewhere along the line. Personality is the individual characteristic reaction to social stimuli and the quality of a person's adaptation to the social features of his or her environment. Temperament, as you can see from the slide, can you see that my presentation? A person's typical way of responding to his or her environment. Self is the individual's conception of the kind of person she is. And task, as many of you mentioned, is the function which is to be performed by the individual in their different stages of life. So we have now completed 2 units of this module, this block. We are coming to the 3rd unit and we are nearly reaching 4:30. So just half an hour more of our class. We will complete unit 3, which is the stages of personality development. As you can see in the presentation, the 4 stages which are depicted, the 4 aspects which are to be covered in this unit are role of heredity, learning and environment in personality development, the process of socialization and its role in personality development, the molding pattern of personality development, and what is learning, what is conditioning. Are we conditioned in the childhood? Is our conditioning a part of socialization? What is imitation? Do we learn by imitation? What is training? So now the role of heredity as explained, the little technical part and the not so technical part is explained in this slide. All the factors which are present at the time of conception in a fetus before birth constitute heredity. So there is a technical element called cephalocordal development, or the cephalocordal principle is a term used to describe the head to toe direction of human growth. So direction of the fetus, the growth of the human in the womb of the mother from head to toe, and the functional motor development of the fetus constitutes cephalocordal principle. It is obviously observed in infants, proportion, change, continuing to adulthood. Now, the second important term in this module is proximodistal development, which describes the general trend for the development of the motor abilities, the abilities of movement, motor abilities of the fetus. So the middle portion of the fetus develops and the movement spreads outwards. Infants learn to move their torsos first, then the arms and legs. So the central portion of the body moves first. The mobility arises more in the central portion, the torso of the body. Then the arms and the legs begin to move. Finger manipulation and other fine-tuned movements develop once motor skills for the limbs are developed. Motor development proceeds from the center of an organism to the periphery. So this is the technical part of the heredity. Now we come to the role of learning in personality development. How do we learn? What do we learn? What do we like to retain as we grow up? How does learning happen? Do families impact the learning of individual? Do cultures and societies impact the learning of individual? Do communities impact the learning of individuals? Why does learning happen differently for different individuals? So in contrast to the psychodynamic approaches of Freud's, which relate to inner and hidden processes, learning approaches focus on the observable behavior. What is observable behavior? What we see, learn, speak, measurable phenomena. So what can be measured? What can be quantified? How much does school education contribute to our learning? How much does college education contribute to our learning? So behaviorists and social scientists, in the context of personality development, do not believe that personality characteristics are based only on genetics or heredity or inborn predispositions. They believe that we learn as we grow up. Personality, they believe, is shaped by our reinforcements, reinforcing what is good, what is bad, what is moral, what are the values, how do we conduct ourselves, whom do we relate to. In other words, people behave in a consistent manner based on the learning environment provided to them in their homes, in their surroundings. And another behaviorist called B.F. Skinner, he has said that environment is solely responsible for all our behavior. Depending on the environment we get in our households, depending on the environment we get in our community living, depending on the environment we get in the school. Some of us have studied in convent education schools. Some of us have studied in public schools. Some of us have studied in local schools. Now, the kind of reinforcements and learning which is reinforced in these schooling becomes part of our personality. In fact, behaviorists believe that if they could control a person's environment, then they could impart one type of personality. And all individuals can be generated with only one kind of personality if one kind of training is given to them. This is questionable because there are other factors also which impact our growing up. Behaviorists did not think it was necessary to understand that in our mind space, in our thoughts, in our feelings, different kinds of thought patterns and learning processes happen in our growing up stages. That is why I am flagging this aspect to ask you to reflect that in your growing up years, do you think that your thoughts, your feelings, your home environment was varied, and that is why you are different personality types? Can we look back at ourselves, the 20 of us who are online, and reflect that did our growing up years with the same community environment, did we have similar kind of home environment, or were there differences in our thoughts, in our feelings? Were we reinforced some set of things that first the younger children should be given the food, or was food equally distributed to all six of us, for an example? Or was it the pattern that because you are eldest in the family, you have to look after the younger siblings? Was it reinforced that when you are growing up, now you can take care, you cook for yourself, or you cook for the family, or you help your parents in the cooking? What kind of practices were there in your communities? Because if we look at our own growing up years, only then when the clients are in front of us, we can relate that was it different? Was it applicable? Was it not applicable? Can we draw conclusions? Are there differences? Are the differences very sharp? Are the differences minor? Are there other factors which have impacted the personality of the individual? So I want to pause here and ask you to reflect on any situations which you have encountered last year in fieldwork where you might have seen differences. Yes, Francis, you want to say something?
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to explain briefly on how the environment, the society have shaped us.
Yes.
As a kid, in grade 1 to 5, I grew up in an area whereby every boy must have learned a trade. It was that earlier rule to say, as a boy, you must learn any trade. You can't be a boy without knowing any trade. So either you could learn mechanics, bricklaying, you learn to do farm. So my parents were happy with that. However, it was a violent environment to say, okay, in this environment, we also teach to say eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. If you're beaten, you fight back. We don't discuss here. You can't grow weak. You have to fight for your rights. You have to fight for your strength. My mother especially was not happy with such an environment, and we had to move to another area whereby we found another different phenomenon to say any kid here must go to school. If you can't go to school, you can't stay in our neighborhood. If your children are not going to school, we're going to take you to court because in this neighborhood, we don't want a kid to go unlearned. So despite that, it was a good environment, but then you see that it also influenced it removed another part from what I believed in to say a boy must learn a trade. People would laugh at me to say, oh, look at that young boy, he's doing mechanics. That thing is for adults. You see, so different societies, different communities have got different development agendas, but it's good that we learn them and they find a common ground to say, okay, we can adopt the good practices and we can avoid the bad practices. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So taking cue from Francis, do you think that why are we reflecting on ourselves? That's the question I want to ask you. Are you understanding my approach? That first we need to know ourselves also when we become social workers. We are dealing with others. But are we even
Yeah.
aware of our own selves and our personality types in dealing with others?
Hello, yes, ma'am. It's very important. There was this other day when I was listening to a local court discussion, whereby one of the leaders say, "No, I cannot penalize these young people because when I was young, I committed the similar offense.
Mm.
But there was nobody to help me and to nurture me to say this is bad and you have to do ABC. So today I want to take this as an opportunity to
Mm.
train young people to do differently. So it is good to reflect on ourselves because it will help us to be good judges of other attitudes, good judges of other characters, and where we are not treated well as social workers, we need to do differently. We need to offer opportunities. We need to offer, especially young people, a second chance, and enhance those who have capabilities. You know, we cannot move as a society in one trajectory to say, okay, if these people haven't gone to school, if these people haven't gained the college qualification, it means they're outcast in the society. Let us
Mm.
look into where we can put them. So, okay, what capabilities do they have, let's work on that because others believed in us before, and we would like to replicate the same whilst we are doing our social work. So it's good to reflect on ourselves because it gives us an opportunity to accept others in their strength and in their weaknesses. Thank you.
Correct. Thank you. So we are now coming to the role of socialization in personality development. Some of it we touched upon in our course of our discussion in past 1 hour, but I'm flagging it so that you know how we are proceeding. So what are the agencies of socialization in the life of the child? The primary agencies are family, neighborhood, playgroup, and school. The secondary agencies are religion, state, and maybe technology, as some of you mentioned. So now we come to the tricky question that our primary agencies, we are more comfortable with understanding our growing up, our family environment, our neighborhoods, our communities. Sometimes we may not have been accepted by the communities if we have a different point of view or if we take a trade which is not acceptable. Sometimes our school environment, some clients come to us where they have been bullied in the school. So, what do you think about bullying behavior? Do you think that anytime in the school, in the field, you have seen uh, any clients that they have been bullied and that has made impacted their personality? And if we are confronted with a situation where some bullying behavior has happened, how do we deal with it? Yes, Muhammad Ibrahim, you would like to say something?
Yes, yes. I would like to say something regarding this because I have experienced it when I was in the field.
Mm,
Um, we all know some years ago, 2009, crisis in Nigeria started, of Boko Haram. Boko Haram
mm,
crisis in Nigeria started. I was in that Maiduguri in Borno State when all these things started, but then I have to flee away because of how the place was uh, so toxic for me to stay.
mm,
But then later on, I came back to that same community on an assignment as a social worker, as a humanitarian aid supporter. And when I came, I was deployed to an IDP camp. And when I was in that IDP camp, I came I came to meet some girls, teenage girls that experienced like child abuse
right.
by some of the people that are within the IDP camps. Some of them, they even knew them in their villages. But then, because of what they have been going through, their parents have been killed because of the crisis. They have no one to look up to. And so they are just looking for something to eat. And then some people within the IDP camp or some of the bad humanitarians that are coming to support them in the IDP camps will tell them that they have to offer themselves
Mm,
before they give them something to eat. And so, some of them, if you were trying to go to them and advise them or counsel them on how all these things are going, they don't actually feel safe talking to people because of fear of stigmatization.
right.
So because of the fear of stigmatization, they don't open themselves to talk. And so it has become a serious problem on how to communicate to them or to even understand what they're going through in order to help them out. So what I
Mm,
did back then, I just told them that this is where I belong. I relocated myself to the camp because we used to be in a hotel. Now we come every day in the morning and then spend our days there. But then I get a tent inside the camp. I
mm,
relocated there for a period of 2 weeks, staying with them, eating with them. I just to feel to feel their pain, to put myself in their shoes. I
Correct.
told them that this is where I belong. So you can open to me. I am one of the people. In fact, I've been bullied several times, but then I overcome my fear. I share my stories and I received help. But then if you're not opening up, you will not be able to receive help, and you will not be able to overcome the fear you've been going through, and depression and all this kind of internal mental health and everything will be attacking you, and you'll be down and you might not be able to help yourself, not to talk of your younger ones that are together with you in the camp. So that's how most of the organizations were trying to reach out to me. How was I able to do this? How was I able to help these people? I told them
Correct.
this is what I've been doing. I put myself in their shoes. I do not fear them, and I don't mock them, and I don't criticize what they've been going through. I just show them that I am one of them. I eat with them. I sleep where they slept. And then I was able to come up with a lot of strategies to communicate with them. In fact, some of the international organizations came, like Medicine Sans Frontiers,
Mm.
UNICEF, WHO, and all them. They have experts, but then they don't like opening themselves to these people because they see them as
Outside.
foreigners or weak people, outsiders. So they don't want to talk to people that they don't know. But then
Correct.
they will come and hire me as a consultant. Okay, I am going to we are going to have this kind of project. They want me to be with them for the duration of 1 week or 2 weeks or 1 month or 1 year, depending on the capacity of their project. So I'll be with them. We go to local villages. There are humanitarian flights. We go to villages, IDP camps, a lot of places. There are a lot of people suffering, and the main thing there, help is not going to them because of this fear of stigmatization. They don't open up because they fear that people will mock them, they will laugh at them, more especially the girls. They will be thinking of, if I open up, people know that I've been raped during my younger
Correct.
age. People will not be able to even come to marry me.
Accept
They will
me.
be thinking, yes, they won't accept me. If I go to community, they won't accept me and everything, all of that. So this is one of the challenges. This is just one of few. There are plenty
Yeah.
things I've experienced when I was in the field, but this is just one of the things that has been bothering me for a very long time. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad because others can also learn from your field experiences. Yes, Abdul Hafiz. I hope others are listening to these examples because it is from these case studies we learn more, not just from theory. And that's why I'm taking your examples and giving some from my own so that you can slowly understand, digest, accept that these are our reality situations. Yes, Abdul Aziz, your turn now to contribute. You want to say something? Please unmute yourself. Abdul Hafiz, he wants to say something.
Reflecting on the question you asked concerning bully, I hello, are you with me, ma?
Yes, yes, I can hear you, but you switch on your video if you want.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you. You can't
Okay.
hear me? Oh.
All right. Yeah, I just want to add concerning the bully parts of the discussion. I have worked with several working in the community in the field. We've experienced a lot of cases that relates to bullying. We discovered that um, for young children or adults to be bullied, there must definitely be a defect or an ailment or a disease. Because I worked with some organizations that interfere with HIV, AIDS, and all sorts of under health. And I discovered that some, with as a result of an ailment, being exposed to others that is strange, it will definitely result to bullying in the sense that you are not like us, you are different. They discriminate because they fear the ailment or disease in them. So in the field, when we discovered this, that even some, the bullying got to the stage that they don't want to go to school, they don't want to learn, they don't want to interfere, they don't want to interact with anybody. So when we discover this, we have special section for them. We sit with them, we talk to them. Even we attend to school with them. We sometimes we support them with lots of things, and sometimes we there are some parts that they call them key populations. They are kind of some parts of the community members that have some special ailments. Maybe they are sexual workers, they are all sorts of, so they don't mingle with any other people except themselves. And what do we do when we want to intervene in their community? We make sure we make ourselves like them. Not really we abuse ourselves. We let them understand that we are like you. We are the same, so that they won't feel we are trying to bully them, or we are trying to take opportunity of what of their condition. So with that, in the field, we are able to interact with them, we are able to communicate with them, we are able to even bring some out of that ailment, we are able to treat them, we are able to put them into normal and the necessary treatment they are supposed to be. So I just say I'm adding this to back up what Mahmoud have just said. So in the
Correct.
community, in the field, as a social worker, you have to bring down yourself, to blend yourself with any community members you are interacting with. Because if you are feeling too high or you are feeling too low, you won't be able to achieve your aim as a social worker. So we
Correct.
interact with them. We make ourselves equal to them. We let them know we are the same. We are the same like you. You are like us. So you
Right.
can share your feelings with us. We can talk to us so that we can be able to help. So that you also will able to help us. So
Yes.
that's our social work in the field. That's how it goes. So thank
Good.
you.
Thank you very much. That contributes here. We are going to the next slide. The importance of heredity and environment. We have touched upon it, but I'm just explaining it for those who are new to this module. Each individual has a
The
different pattern.
excuse
Yes.
me,
Yes.
the slide is not showing. Thank you.
Oh, not showing. 1 minute. What happened? Oh, 1 minute. Oh, I thought that I have. Doesn't. Oh no. Okay. To open it again. I think it closed by the time I was taking feedback. Let's try again. This is present now. Share. Okay. So the importance of heredity and environment. Each individual has a different pattern of behavior and personality, as we are discussing with different examples from all of you. This difference is due to influence of heredity and environment. Truly speaking, heredity and environment both play a very important role in the development of the personality of each individual and other qualities which the individual develops in due course of time. No person can be born without heredity and genes, and it cannot develop without proper environment. So, the environment of each person is an individualized situation. Even in four brothers and sisters or six siblings, with the same environment, also we may be developing different personality types. That is another discussion point. An individual's heredity is present since the moment of conception. The conception of each child is at different stages for the mother. The family environment is different for each child that is born, and so the environmental conditions start influencing the child from the very first stage. Each trait and response of an individual depends on their heredity and environment. Therefore, in order to know about the individual, it is necessary to understand the heredity and environment. Having said that, the molding of personality of each individual, and which is called personality development, refers to the process by which the organized thought and behavior pattern that make up a person's unique personality emerge over time. So, as I mentioned, even among siblings, our personalities are different. We may have the same parents and the same social conditions, the same upbringing, the same training, but in our training, obviously, either siblings are added or subtracted. Our parents' situations, as I mentioned last time also in one class, may differ. Some parent may have lost the job, some ailment may emerge in the family, As a parent, my attitude to my child may be different. And if I add another tricky part, which I do not know how relevant it is for you, but in our Indian context, we talk of what is called karma, our destiny. I don't know how relevant it is because we believe in the Indian context that we are carrying over a lot of our traits, our dispositions from our previous birth. So this is another small angle which is not there in the module, but which I have added for discussion today or another day, that we need to dwell on this aspect in some societies, that the destiny of each child is different. The behavior patterns and the upbringing play one set of role, but our past birth bring some predispositions with us, and sometimes we are finding that a newborn child is reciting some shloka or mantra. Some newborn child is playing the piano or the sitar or the tabla or the guitar or some instrument without any training. Or some newborn child is having excellent mathematical abilities. All these are causes for adding to the heredity, the environment, and the training, and are spoken of as our destiny, which enables us to add value to our personality. Now, before we conclude, couple more slides, different stages of human development. What are the characteristics at each stage of our development? What does normal process of human development mean, which I flagged in the chart? What are the milestones or the developmental tasks at each stage? Some important terms in the module: growth, development. What is growth? Growth refers to the increase in size of the fetus, the body, the child, and the growing up stages. Process of growing up, the physical process of growing up, quantifiable aspects, increase in height and weight. What does development mean? Development means structure or the form or the shape of the body, improvement in the functioning, in the hand movement, in the body movement, in the neck movement as the child is growing up. Progressive series of changes. There's a coherent way, an orderly pattern in growing up. And if certain changes in height and weight are not age appropriate, not according to the age specified by the physician, then there's cause for concern in the parents, cause for taking the child for regular checkup to the doctor, to the nurse, to the hospital, right? And the importance in understanding that was adequate care taken while the child was in the fetus? So was regular checkups taken for the mother? Did she get the adequate vitamins, minerals, proteins, iron intakes? All these are questioned if there is some problem in the growth and development of the child. So progressive growth means changes are in the forward motion rather than the backward motion. Includes change in features, change in physical strength, change in the body, intellectual abilities, change in the emotions. The child is able to relate to the parents, to the siblings. The social levels of learning are age appropriate. All these become parts of maturing or maturation. What does maturation mean? When certain functions are performed by the mind and the body automatically, we say that the child has attained maturity. So growth and development in this slide, you can see, is differentiated for you. Growth is quantitative in nature. Development is both quantitative and qualitative. Growth means only physical changes in an individual. Development means overall changes, as I mentioned, including emotional development, intellectual development, physical development, social development, and moral development. What is right, what is wrong. Growth is limited up to a certain age, growth of the body. Development is continuous and ongoing throughout life of the individual. Growth means that the changes produced can be observed and measured directly, like the height, the weight, the size of the body. Development changes result in improved behavior, better understanding, improved functioning, which cannot always be measured directly. So those are the qualitative changes in the body. Growth is an external process. Development is an internal process. Growth is structural, structure of the body. Development is functional, functioning of the different parts of the body. Growth is influenced by genetic factors and environmental factors. Development, on the other hand, is influenced by a wide range of factors. Their genetics, their environment, their culture, community, experience, learning, all these cumulatively together influence the development of the individual. Now, I am closing this presentation because only 5 minutes are left, and we will proceed with this presentation and the next tomorrow afternoon. I'm keeping 5-10 minutes for any questions that you may have, and I have simplified it for you so that you will read the module. I've shared the module with you last time. Many of you said you have downloaded the module. Is there anybody who till now has not downloaded that module? Can I know? BSW-124, Human Growth, Behavior and Counseling. Yes, Mahmoud, I can take some questions.
Okay, the model, are you referring from the LMS portal? Or it is this slide?
It is, how many of you downloaded it last time? Francis, Mariam, you said you downloaded it. I can also show you a screenshot of that module. It's on the portal, right? You downloaded from the portal.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, I think I get it. I downloaded it already. I have them now.
Anas downloaded it last
Yes,
time,
ma'am.
and I'm
Yes.
just showing you the screenshot because I downloaded it. This, can you see it now?
Yes, I think I got it. I
Got it?
have downloaded it already. I
Right.
have it. I have downloaded
You
them
have it,
already.
right? So that
Yes.
is one thing. I want you to read it actually, because when I have discussing it, so 200 pages or 100 pages in 2 hours, only the major points can be discussed. But if you are going through it, you can see the nitty gritty, the details. You can go through the questions which are raised. There are suggested answers. So there's a flow, and your understanding will develop. That's my request to all of you. So is that acceptable that you can read a little bit so that we can have some more discussion from others in the group? 2 of you, 3 of you, 4 of you, 5 of you, yes, have been discussing and sharing your thoughts. But others can also contribute to the discussion with their experience or even lack of experience. If you have question raised to your own upbringing, your own environment, do you know each other as 20 students online? So we need to know each other. So I will be giving you some exercise next time to check how well you know each other. Because if we are not able to even get to know each other when we are going in the field and dealing with clients, how will we get to know them? One is theoretical understanding of people and clients. One is practical approach. Suppose I give you a situation to interview me and I say, I am in the troubled mother who has come to you for help. How will you go about it? One is to say, I will explain to you. One is, how will the explanation happen verbatim? In reality. So reality check also we have to do. Are you getting my approach? To enabling you to understand better. Module is not to be understood only theoretically. It has to be applied in practice. Has anybody any questions before we close for the day? Any doubts? Yes.
No, thank you, ma'am. It has been a wonderful presentation. It was interactive. Thank you so much for the presentation.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Davis, you want to contribute something? You are welcome.
Maybe I just wanted to know any chances of getting the PPT presentations, the ones you have been sharing to us.
I will check with Dr. Panigrahi. I do not know what is the procedure, na? So I will check and let you know. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, but I am also requesting your participation from next time. So those who are not participating, how do we encourage them? That's my last question for the day. How do we encourage them to participate, switch on the video, engage in this online conversation?
I think I would suggest like directing questions to them.
Yes,
You can just
I'm also
pinpoint
thinking.
someone and then ask your questions to
Yeah,
him and see how the
I will
person
be
can
doing
respond.
that next time. So I'm telling others also that uh, 2 days I have given you lot of scope. From tomorrow I will be directing. Yes, Anas, good suggestion, very good suggestion.
Ma'am, what I will add is that by giving a group assignment so that each and everyone can discuss in the assignment.
Correct. I will do that
Yes.
also. Yeah, but if you will not open your video, how do I know what you are discussing? So you
So
have to.
no, if person want to answer his assignment, he has to open his video so that
Sure.
he will talk and everybody will see him.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. Anybody else has any questions? Davis, you have asked your question?
No, mine was just maybe a supplement on the how people can participate in the
Yeah,
classes.
because,
Maybe,
yeah.
yeah, when you are starting classes, maybe if we can have time to greet each other some 5 minutes or so, trying to check on each and every member online. Maybe the other thing is maybe posing questions to each and every member,
So next
just to
time,
maybe,
huh,
yeah.
next time everybody will come prepared because we will begin with that